Hello, everyone, and very welcome to your live YouTube streaming English class. And before we start going to our lesson for today, I would like to remind you guys stay safe from COVID-19, the coronavirus. As we stay at home and watch our lesson for today, I want us to look at something called quantifiers in English. What are the quantifiers in English? Now, if somebody asks you a question, what are the quantifiers in English? The quantifiers in English are much. Much. Now, much is a quantifier. We want to use the word much in as a quantifier. When, where, and how we use this one. Now, much is used with uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns. For example, if I don't know how to count things or things that cannot be counted, then we use much as a quantifier. So much is a quantifier used for uncountable nouns. Now, for example, I will ask a question of how much water do you drink a day? I drink 2 liters of water. How much water? Now, water is uncountable. Sand is uncountable. And that we use how much is to refer to something uncountable. How much? But sometimes we use it for collective uncountable things. For example, I can say how much money you have. So how much money you have, money is countable, but we use sometimes much. Now, how much money do you have? Your answer will be, I have 2 or 3 pounds or thousands right now. Sometimes we use quantifier much to express something not tangible. For example, not touchable or not tangible. How much you missed home? How much are you excited? How much do you like something? Now, these are also ways to use the word how much as a quantifier with countable things and something that we really feel, not touch, and something not tangible. Now, when we come and talk about many is for countable things, whether nouns or not noun. Water is uncountable noun. We say how much water, how much water. But also we have something called collective noun. The water as noun is not counted. We don't count how much water, but we can use something called collective nouns like how many bottles of water. How many bottles of water? Now, how much water is asking about the water inside, which is uncountable. But how many bottles of water? We're asking about how many bottles of water that we have today. Now, as we have in the sanitizer, by the way, this is my coronavirus sanitizer. How much alcohol inside this sanitizer, but how many bottles of alcohol sanitizer? Now, this is how to use how much and how many. We also use it with something that counts, like how many times? How many times? How many times do you go to class a day? We go to class 3 times a day. How many times you need to wash your hand every day from coronavirus? I need to wash my hands 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. To wash your hands, then how many times? Time is one single time or one single second is countable. So we say, how many times do you go to class a day or a week? How many times do you wash your hands a day? I wash my hands 5, 6, or 7 times a day. Now we use how many for something countable, for something that we can definitely count. This is also one of the important quantifiers in English right now. Now, let's see how many brothers and sisters do you have? How many brothers do you have? I have 3 brothers. I have 6 brothers. I have 7 brothers. Now, how many people are there in the class? There are only 5 people in the class. There are only 10 people in the class. So now, here we can use the quantifier in order to know how much things are there, how many things are there as well. Now, let's come and talk about sum. Sum is a quantifier. We use it to know how many or how much things. You know, if we need to know something, then we use the word sum. Sum we refer to unknown number, a number that unknown. So if you need to know how many bottles of water are there in the fridge, then you can ask, are there some bottles of water? Are there some tomatoes? Are there some potatoes? Are there some people in the class? Are there? Then we use the word some. We use it with countable things. Something that we can count, we say some. When we say some, we start from 2 and above. When we say some sugar, some water, some bananas, some potatoes, some people, some things, some is a quantifier. We use it for knowing the number of the things that we do not know how many or how much exactly. Then we say some. Well, do you have some? Now I come to you and I said to you, I don't have markers. Do you have some? Meaning, do you have some markers? Yes, I have 2 or 3 markers. You can say I have some, or I have, and then put the number you have. I have only 3. I have only 3. So instead of saying how many, now if I said how many markers do you have, I'm asking exactly the number of markers do you have. But if I ask, do you have some, I just want to know, but not exactly maybe, do you have some markers? Yes, I have some. I have 3, or I have 4, or I have 2, I have 7. These are also quantifiers that we use them to know how much or how many things or some. Now, if somebody asks you a question, are there some people in the class right now? How many people are watching the class right now? How many people are infected by coronavirus? How many people are recovered from coronavirus? How many people are scared from coronavirus? Now, are there some people recovered from the coronavirus? Yes, there are many people have recovered from the coronavirus. So now we can understand that these quantifiers are there. Now, how much will it take to recover? It will take 7 days, just like how long? You got it? So now here we have how much and how many. How much is for uncountable things or nouns, but how many for countable things or countable nouns. Now also we have any. Any is, we use it when we talk about one thing, or we want to know that there is a little number of something. Do you have any marker? Any kind of marker, not specific. So we will talk about something not specific. We don't talk about number. Well, do you have any marker? Yes, I have green marker. I have a blue marker. Is there any water bottle in the fridge? Meaning that, is there any kind of water, whether hot water or cold water? We come back again and ask, how many people are there? You can say, not many people are there. Is there any girl or any boy? Is there anyone or anything? Is there any person? Is there any woman? Is there any man? So we can actually see, you can see on your right hand, we have the chat. You can ask question. You can ask question on your left. Let me just write for you. You can ask question on the live chat. So you can ask question on the live chat just on your right hand while you are watching. So now let's see any question. Any person want to ask or want to talk about something. Any concern. Any problem. There is no any way at all. No any way at all. So when we use any, also any is a quantifier. We use it in order to actually make sure that we know something about a thing. Now, few can be used when we want to answer. Any water there? Few. Any sugar? Few. Any whatever? Few. Or you can say there are few tomatoes in the fridge. There are few things. Always few, we use it with a number, more than one. We say few. Few times. We don't say few times. Few times. Few things. Few problems. Few questions. Few positions. Few markers. Many markers. You see? Many markers. I have many markers. I have few markers. Now, many markers also, you can say I have much of them. Do you have some markers? Have you got some markers? I have few of them. I have many of them. I have much of them. I don't have any. I don't have any. There is no any marker. I don't have. Yeah, I don't have. There is no any marker. There are few markers. There are few markers. Now, the quantifiers are easy to use and to understand when we actually talk, when we talk about them. Now, to make an exercise, I want everybody on the live chat, just on your left or on your right, please try to put some examples. Can anybody write an example? Please, people are watching right now, write an example on your left or on your right hand on the chat. So I will be asking you a question here on the quantifiers. Can anybody write right now? I want you to write some examples on your just right hand on the live chat. Somebody is here saying, the question, Mr. Shukul somehow face difficulty in memorizing idioms, phrases. So what is the best way to memorize them? Okay, fantastic. I will answer to this question by the end. Somebody is here asking a question. Now, and what is the difference between few and a few? Okay, fantastic. Now, I will be talking about what's the difference between few and a few. Good. Well, few is when we talk about something not identified. A few, when we are starting also say, I have few things. But when somebody asks you a question, you say, I have a few of them. So for example, here I said, now all of them, we talk about definite noun, uncountable nouns, and indefinite uncountable nouns. So when I say, how many markers have you got? I have got few. I have got few, or a few. So a few is also used for singular noun. A few things. We don't say a few and then things. We use a few, for example, with a few time ago, like short time ago. A few expressions. A few things. So a few is used with identified noun or singular noun. But few is for identified, unidentified, or countable things. Few things, I have few things to do. I only have a few time to go. So in this case, we can actually understand how well we use few and a few. Now, somebody else here asking a question of to memorize idioms. It's actually very difficult to memorize idioms. Don't memorize idioms. Don't save idioms in your mind. What you need to do is that to put the idiom in a sentence. To use the idiom, for example, I'm gonna get an idiom here and use it in order for us to understand how we can really use them. All right, now let me use this idiom. The idiom says, burn the midnight oil. Burn the midnight oil. So what is burn the midnight oil as an idiom? To burn midnight oil is not to sleep. So if you want to save and memorize the idiom as it is, it will be very difficult because it's a very long sentence. Now, what you need to do to understand and understand. Now, burn the midnight oil, make it in a sentence. Police do not burn the police burn the midnight oil, keeping security. Last night, I burned the midnight oil, meaning I did not sleep. Also, to remember and to use the idioms, give another idiom to that idiom. For example, you can say, instead of saying, I burned the midnight oil, you can also say, I slept no wink. Sleeping no wink, meaning burn the midnight oil. Do not sleep, meaning burn the midnight oil. So instead of using only one idiom, use another idiom and use the explanation of the idiom. Because if you use the idiom itself, you are going to forget it. So don't use the idiom as an idiom itself. Use another idiom, use another expression, and use the explanation of that idiom. Now, these are also, if you want to make very good use of idiomatic expressions, put them in many sentences. My father and I last night have slept no wink. My mom was baking the cake, so she burned the midnight oil. We were waiting my grandma to come. We burned the midnight oil after she came. We spent the night chatting. These are very possible ways. Good. He has many books. He has many books to read. That's a very good example. I don't know anything. Anything is 1 or 0. When you say I don't know anything, like I know nothing. So also we use here any in order to make sure that things are actually understood. That I know nothing. I don't know anything. So any here it's about one thing or the absence of everything or the 0 for anything. And that we say, I don't know anything. I know nothing. So you can say I know nothing or I don't know anything. All right. Is there anybody has any question or any example so that we move to the next exercise? So that we can move to the next exercise. Do you have any question or many questions? Do you have any question or many questions so that I can move to the next part of our lesson today? Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't have a question in here, all right. So now I wanted us to talk about something else called confusing words in English. Or before we talk about confusing words in English, let's talk about words formation. Words. Now we want to talk about English words. Words formation, how to form a word. Now when we say word formation, meaning building the word in a sentence, because any sentence needs a word. Now, for example, I wanted us to use the word educate. Educate is a verb. Educate is a verb. Now, educate is a verb, but we need to form this word. Educate is a verb. I wanted us to make it in a sentence. Can everybody put the word educate in a sentence? Well, you have to educate your kids. You have to educate your kids. Now we use the verb. Now the basic and the origin of any word is the verb. Is the verb. So always the verb is the first use of the verb of any English word. Now you have to educate your children. This is the word educate. But if we use this word in education as a noun, as education. Now we can make a sentence saying education is very important. education is very important. Now it's a noun. Education is very important. Education is very important. This called word formation. How to form the word? Educate. You have to educate your children. Education is very important. Now, when we use the word educational, we can say educational materials, educational institute, educational company, educational purpose, educational period. So, what was your educational purpose of this? I want to learn. Educational institute. So when we say universities are educational institutions. University is an educational institute. Any university can be described as an educational institute. Educational purpose. So we use educational here as an adverb. Educational is an adverb. No, it's not an adverb. It's educational is it's not an adverb. Yeah, educational is an adjective, an adverb as well at the same time, and noun for something or for someone. For something, you can say a noun for things. Sorry, educational purpose is a noun for things. Educationally is an adverb. Educationally. Now, educationally is an adverb. We use it when we want to describe something. So, educationally. Now, when somebody say Sudan is one of educationally deteriorated country, one of educationally successful country. Some people travel to Europe for educational purpose. Educational purpose. Now, educational purpose. But people go there because they want to succeed educationally. We describe something using the word educational. Also using the word educationally. Educational is an adverb. We have educationalist. Educationalist is a noun or an adjective for someone or some person. Educationalist, the person who put curriculum, the person who developed education, the person who always write books about education, work in an educational field, called educationalist. Educationalist. Educationalist is a noun for a person. And also, educationalist can be an adjective, not educative. We come to that one. But this is also another adjective to a person or noun to a person. So you can say he's an educationalist because he's working in the education. Now then you can say this subject is very educative. It's an adjective right now. Educative. Educative is an adjective. For example, this brochure or this magazine is an educative, meaning that it's informative and I can have very, very much knowledge out of it. So you can say it's an educative. Very educative, very informative. It has some education. It has something very good. Educative, educational, educationally, educationalist. Also, we have a noun which is educator. Educator is somebody who educates people, teaches people, and gives people lessons. Okay? Somebody here asked a question about a lot and lot. I will come back to this at the end. Yes, I will come back to that one. But before that, let me continue with the word formation of education, educationalist, and educationally. I'm going to give some examples using the word education, educationalist, and educational. Now, educate yourself, educate your children, meaning teach yourself, teach your children, learn about something. Education is very important. University is an educational institute. Is an educational institute. Now, when you go to internet, you can get benefits educationally. You can get benefited educationally from the internet, like watching live lessons on YouTube, like meeting people and getting some education, some educational information from them. So that's also you get benefited educationally, or you get developed educationally. Educative is an adjective to something, also to somebody. You can say he is an educative person, meaning that whenever you stay with him or with her, you learn. Educative person. Educator is somebody who's educating and giving people knowledge. Now, I want to use that question of the word a lot. I hope if you are here, Isra Khalil. Isra Khalil said, what about a lot and lot and lots? Now we can use these things with the word education. Lot and a lot and lots. The three words, lot, a lot, and lots. Okay, now these are also quantifiers. They are quantifiers, part of the first quantifiers we talked about. A lot of them, and lots of them. Most of the time, people don't use the word lot. Why they don't use it? Because you don't need it as long as you have lots of and a lot of. For example, in Sudan, there are a lot of universities. A lot of universities. A lot of. Or lots of universities in Sudan. So now, if you want to use, you say, there are a lot of universities in Sudan. There are lots of universities in Sudan. So you don't need to use the word lot. But informally, you can say, oh, a lot of them, or lot of them. It is not a formal to say lot without a lot or without lots. But if you use it, it's fine. It's understandable, and people can actually understand that now. There are a lot of universities in Sudan. There are lots of universities in Sudan. There are a lot of people watching the lesson. There are lots of people watching the lesson. There are lots of people in Khartoum. There are a lot of people in Khartoum. So when I use the word a lot of or lots of, when I put the S, I remove the A. Lots. When I remove the S, I put the A. A lot. A lot of things. Lots of things. A lot of people. Lots of people. So you don't need to use lot without S or without A at the beginning. Is that fine, Ms. Isra? You got it? Oh, I got something here with this Google is coming to me every time. Okay, now these are now we talked about words formation. We remain with the last part of our lesson today, the last part of our lesson, which is going to be about confusing words in English. You can still ask your question on your right hand on the live chat. Talk more about accents. It is important or not imitate some accent. I will be grateful. Okay, fantastic. Before I continue on the confusing words, okay, let me talk about accent. All right. Accent. Okay, what is the difference between accent and pronunciation and dialect? Well, this is Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali, what you need to know first, what is the difference between accent and the pronunciation? Pronunciation is rule. Pronunciation is basic. It's something really important. Even though there are differences, some differences between American pronunciation and British pronunciation. Now, but the accent is per individual. The accent depends on the person's vocal. You know, the person's vocal. Everybody has his own accent. There are no two people have the same accent. It's just like an eye or fingerprint. Now, you cannot find two people have the same fingerprint or the same eye print, exactly like an accent. Now, everybody has his own accent because everybody has got different vocal than the other. This is something related to your vocal. But pronunciation is rule, because the word recognize is pronounced, recognized by British, recognized by American. But in the accent, somebody will say recognize. 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 Recognize. Education. 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 Now, these different accents are here. You can always develop your accent. You need to go to a website called Get Rid of Your Accent. I am writing it, and I will send the link. Get rid of your accent. See, called VK. Well, I'm sending a link called Get Rid of Your Accent. That will help you to develop your accent. But pronunciation is actually different. Now, if you want to develop your pronunciation, you better listen to natives. You have also mentioned something about imitating. Now, imitating is very good. It's very good to imitate so that you can develop your accent, you can make it better. Now, let me give this example of American and British accent. For example, Americans say water. This is not an accent. This is pronunciation. British say water. Somebody say water. Water, 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 water. These are pronunciations. So the accent is what you have as person. Obama has different accent than Donald Trump, has different accent than Michelle Obama, different accent than David Cameron, different accent than Tony Blair, different accent than Les Brown, for example. So you can always develop your accent, but you don't need to be exactly as same as somebody else. Like somebody say, I have got a daughter. This is a standard British accent. Oh, sorry, British pronunciation. I've got a little daughter. This is standard American pronunciation. But the American accent is different than the British accent. It's just because of the vocal. And you can find somebody from America who speaks pure British, and somebody from Britain can speak pure American. And exactly everywhere. That's about accent. And we're going to move to the last part of our lesson for today. Now, confusing words in English. Confusing words in English. There are some words that people actually confuse, mostly when they really speak. Now we'll be talking about the word affect and effect. Affect is a noun. Sorry, effect is a noun. And affect is a verb. How many people are affected by coronavirus? If you don't care, you will be affected by the virus. To affect is to make change on something or alter something. affect, and effect is the noun. Now, how many people are affected? How many people are affected? 700,000 people are affected. What is the effect of COVID-19? What is the effect of coronavirus? How many people are affected by coronavirus? So affect is a verb, effect is a noun. Don't say effect. The pronunciation effect is wrong because the stress not on the effect, it's on the affect. This is the stress here. Affect, not effect. It's a noun, effect. Also, we have the word advise and advice. The difference is here, there is a C and there is a S. Advice with C and the pronunciation advice, meaning to give somebody something or some advice, something wise, to recommend something, to guide somebody, to give somebody educative information. But to advise with S, the pronunciation Z, advise is a verb. To advise someone, meaning that you have given him the advice. So you have done the advice on him or you advised him. So you can then say, advise me. But you can say, give me an advice. Give me an advice, or I need your advice. I need your advice. I need your advice. I need your advice. Or give me an advice. Give me an advice. I need your advice. Give me an advice. The other thing is advise me.